All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a Q&A episode. The questions have piled up, and we're going to try to get through as many as we possibly can. But before we get into it, you guys know the drill. Pay the fee, but we still got a different fee on the show here. We're down to 50 pork boxes available on farmergrade.com. If you didn't listen to the last episode, we did a whole episode on the direct-to-consumer meat business that we're starting. We did a 500 box pork box drop. The pork that we raise here on our farm, you have the opportunity to buy it right now. We're going to be closing down the website in a week or so. So if you want to get a box, there's only 50 left. So go out there, go to farmergrade.com, and purchase a pork box if you want to support this show, support our farm, and just support us. It would mean the absolute world to us, and that's really how you can help us out here today and help us help the show. So go to farmergrade.com and get yourself a box.
If you care about me, you'll buy a box, because here's the thing. Every box that doesn't get bought is probably just another pack of bacon that I'm going to have to eat myself. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but, just it could be Tricia might kind of get after me. She doesn't like it when I eat bacon more than 5 days a week. And
take pity on them. Take pity on it. If you're, that's the thing. You got to help Torque out. So you got to go out there and get those boxes bought up, because anything left over,
we got to find something. We got to find something to work, because I'm no spring chicken. I'm not like the young buck here. I'm getting to the point. One of these harebrained ideas that we got going is going to have to pay one of these days.
Well, I was just thinking, you got to get that swivel koozie on that mower somehow.
I know. I mean, this year barely got to use it because it didn't rain. The grass all died, but it's gonna start raining. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And once again, no swivel koozie. So. Yeah,
take pity on you.
Help
a guy out. Help us out, guys. Help Torque out. He needs it. He needs your support. We got our uniforms on today.
Yep.
If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, we got our merch. Dad went ahead and made some Barn Talk shirts, and the back of the shirt says, what does it say, Dad?
Well, talk is cheap, but Barn Talk is priceless.
There you go.
Yep.
Gosh, that came right out of your brain.
Woo!
The wheels were spinning, and that came right out of your rat cage.
I do.
There.
I think it's true. I think it's a true statement.
There you go. So we got them on. We're repping the brand. I guess this is we should just wear these all the time, but we got to get some merch on the site, because I think people would buy some Barn Talk stuff. But
yeah, we do. It's
just another thing.
It's just one more thing.
Yep, just another thing. So you got a fresh, hot, off the press market update for the folks here today?
Yes, I do. And the simple answer is, it has rained some in eastern Iowa, over into Illinois, and I think beyond. And the forecast is for it to keep raining. And I don't think that I can. I don't think I have ever seen a time that the crops have looked as tough as they have around here as early as they have. But anyway, we got rain. And as a result, you should have taken a picture of the markets on Friday of last week, because you wouldn't recognize them today, because they've dropped every day since that rain started. So today, corn closed at $5.81. Locally, the high is $5.91. Beans $14.55 at the river. That's the Iowa side. I think they're a little higher in Quincy, but I didn't get that quote. $14.51 on the board. And it's a huge drop. I mean, beans were down, I think they were down 40 cents at one point. Corn was down, I want to say corn was down 20 cents maybe on Monday. It's been down every day since the weekend. Wheat $6.54, hogs $94.25. The hog deal is real interesting because they've had a couple of days when they've been up big, but then they take it right back off, and they're still gained over. They were $89, $90, and so they've put on $4, but that's kind of the resistance point. And I don't know. I don't know what the top side is, but I don't feel like we're gaining very fast there. Cattle 180, feeder cattle $240. August crude oil 69.36, and Bitcoin's $30,000. It got to 31,000. I want to say 31,800. All over the BlackRock doing an ETF, but over the weekend, to dig into politics, because why shouldn't we? Robert Kennedy Jr. gave a speech, and I would tell you all should probably check that out because I thought it was really interesting. And he talked a lot about Bitcoin, and the politics have been pretty gruesome towards Bitcoin of late. I mean, they've been bagging on it, and the FTC, sorry, there's too many acronyms. They went after Coinbase, and just a lot of uncertainty in the crypto world. But Kennedy said that Bitcoin is basically patriotic, and it's right in line with what the founders of the writers of the Constitution would have thought Bitcoin was awesome, because it's a check against government overreach and control of your finances and control of basically knowing what every transaction that you do is. It was a damn good speech. I sure hope that I don't think there's a snowball's chance in hell that he's going to get to debate Joe Biden, because Biden has nothing to gain and everything to lose, and he can't put together a complete sentence on the fly. So I don't think it'll happen. But, man, that guy...
I wouldn't mind him getting the nomination on the Democratic side. He ain't bad.
No.
If you listen to him, I encourage anybody to go out there and listen to him, because he is a Democrat, but he's kind of old school Democrat, which is nice. He's not all the way woke left craziness. He's like, he's a libertarian almost, in the fact that, doesn't care, but he's don't care who you are, what you want to do, who you want to sleep with, but, he's just kind of smart about, like, let's get this.
Financially.
Financially, like fiscally, he's there. He makes sense in his points. So
yeah, and he's very much aware of the division that's being thrown, the divisions that are being stoked in this country on social issues while, basically the money's on fire. Mm-hmm. And he's pretty far left environmentally, and that's to be expected. I mean, his claim to fame was he's an environmental lawyer, and he did a lot of big cases against large chemical companies, and that's kind of his wheelhouse is environmental law, and he's pretty liberal on that. But everything else, and he's smart. He's smart. You compare him, listen to him articulate his points, and then go listen to our current president. I mean,
and every other candidate that's probably going to run against him. I mean, you don't want California. What's him? Newsom. You don't want Newsom. You don't want Biden. I feel like he'd be I would be totally fine with Kennedy versus DeSantis, Kennedy versus Trump. I think that would be a decent run.
Yeah, have an honest debate.
Yeah.
And did you know that Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew or something?
Are you 1,000% sure on that?
Oh no, I'm not even.
You just saw it?
Yeah, he's related to her somehow. I know that. I don't know how. It was one of those things I saw. I was like, what? Seriously? Anyway,
could be. I don't know. I haven't seen that. Might have to do your own digging on that one.
Yeah, don't take my word for it.
Yeah.
There's a connection there of some kind.
Yeah.
And not that it matters. I mean, I don't care. She's not worth a shit as a politician, and he's not worth a shit either. So I guess they should be related. And that's
they're probably getting greased from the same corporations, lobby money. But
They're just using
That's how they're
Pelosi's
related.
husband's
Yeah.
stock market gains because he's the best stock picker in history.
I know.
Amazing. Random guy is
random.
so good at picking
Yeah.
stocks. Anyway, Bitcoin, $30K. Ethereum, $1830. Tesla's $256. And Volvo came out and announced that they're going on the Tesla charging standard also. And they spun off their electric car division, which was called Polestar. And so pretty likely that Polestar will go on that. So at the end of the day, they're all just falling in line. The Tesla charging system and their network is going to be the dominant charging system in North America, and every other car manufacturer is going to adopt their standard. And it's just the first shoe to drop. You're going to see Tesla license their technology as far as the in-car entertainment system, the whole 9 yards. They're going to find out that they can't even come close to playing with them, and so they're just going to license it, and Tesla's going to make a shitload of money.
Go to the moon, maybe.
And I am pretty sure about that. Yeah. I'm more sure about that than I am Gavin Newsom's relation to
Pelosi.
But I'm very sure about that. And that's your market up.
Well, that was damn good. I'm glad there's little nuggets in there every time we do it. Little nuggets.
Yeah.
Little rants.
Small.
That's what makes them good.
Yep, that's right.
So I'm going to ask you the first question because I just like listening to you today.
All right.
Larry asks, how in the hell are our crops looking? Yep. Any rain? How are they looking? Are we screwed? Are we gonna get some crop insurance? What's it looking like?
Well, I started to let the cat out of the bag when I was giving the market update, and I had to stop myself. But I will tell you that on what day did we get that rain? Was that Sunday? I think it was Sunday.
We had 3 days of just kind of on and off rain.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
So there was a chance of rain Friday night. Didn't get any. There was a chance of rain Saturday. Sprinkled a few times. Didn't get squat. Sunday, we went through almost the whole day. And about 5, 6 o'clock, right in there, we got a pretty good rain. We got about a half an inch. And then we probably got another tenth on top of that. And then Monday, we got another rain. And I would say all total, we've had 3/4 to 8/10 of an inch of rain. And I'll tell you something. I was sitting outside my house on the front porch, I guess you'd call it. And I had resigned myself to the fact that if we went through Sunday night and we did not get any rain, that my corn around here was done. Like we've been running for better than a month on 3/10 of rain. We got a tenth of rain like 3 different times. And I've never seen it this dry this early. And I was totally convinced that the beans were done and the corn was pretty. It's one of those things when you get to that point, every day you think, well, we can't take any more of this. And then you get up the next day and the corn still hanging in there and you're like, well, I don't know. But I'm convinced if we wouldn't have caught that, we would have been in big trouble.
Well, you were saying the beans especially would have been fried.
Yeah.
Just totally fried.
So our soybeans they're very far behind as far as where they should be. I mean, they should be just about filling the row on 30-inch rows, and they're a lot better than they were on Saturday. I mean, they've grown a lot off of this, and they look a whole lot better, but they're still not covering the row. But so our crop, I'd say as of today, our crop is saved, and we didn't have any corn around here that had. There were guys in Illinois. Tony Reed showed that field of corn of his that was shooting tassels with no silks, no ears, no nothing. Which that's a sign that it's
totally
done.
Screwed.
And like he said, they could get 7 inches of rain and they won't even get half a crop.
So why does it if somebody doesn't know, why is it why is it tasseling like that? Like,
so your corn, basically, it knows what's going on, and it's programmed. Its genetics are to get an ear of corn because that's how the next generation of that plant. I mean, the goal is to get an ear of corn, and that corn is going to grow so when it knows that it's dying, basically it knows that there's no water, it's going to just jump 5 steps. It's going to, whatever it should grow as far as how many leaves, how tall, whatever, it's going to skip all those steps, and it's going to shoot a tassel if it can, and try to pop an ear. And it won't, obviously it couldn't do it. It was so dry and it didn't have any water to do it. But that's why it's basically trying to skip 3 steps, because it knows the end is near. And we weren't at that point here. I don't think you have to go very far south, and they were. And there's parts of Illinois. Chad Bell on TikTok, he's got a field he was showing that looks pretty tough. But so I'd say our crop right now, I'd say our crop is saved if we keep getting rain. And the long-term forecast is for it to be wetter, more rain, potentially, good-sized rains. And it's also been cooler, thanks to the fucking Canadians. All you Canadians listen. Are you guys going to put out these fires, or what are you doing? Because it's
air quality here was just a little bit shitty the last couple days.
Yeah, it's kind of hazy.
It's clearing up a little bit today, but yesterday it was terrible.
If that would,
I woke up and I was like, "Is somebody burning?" Like literally, I thought somebody was burning something. But then I drove into town and I was like, "It's foggy as shit."
Yeah, I mean, if you guys would have passed medicinal marijuana, and this would have been like just a huge cannabis fire, we'd be happy as larks down here. We'd all be just driving around, running into each other, eating M&Ms, and not be able to figure out why we're so fucking hungry. But it wasn't that kind of smoke.
No, it was not. Nope, it wasn't. I saw somebody put this on their story on Instagram today, and it said, U.S. corn and soybean conditions are now the worst since 1988, even with weekend rains.
Yeah.
So 50%... They think crops in good to excellent condition throughout the Corn Belt and just throughout the whole entire United States. 50% is in good or excellent condition. And then on the soybeans, 51% are in good or excellent condition. And so it's the worst. It's been the worst since 1988. So that just tells you where we stand as far as nationwide, what a lot of people's crops kind of looking like. It ain't good, and the price is probably going to reflect that, because we're not going to meet demand. We're not going to probably meet demand this year.
But that's the $1 million question. And so it's pretty much dry from Interstate 35 all the way out, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. I mean, it's dry out through there. But South America raised a pretty good crop. And so the Board of Trade, we were corn, I can't remember what did I say it closed at. Corn was $5.81. Okay, corn was well into the $6 range, upper $6 just a few days ago, because we were running on, we weren't going to have a crop. The crop was terrible, whatever. Not that much has really changed. Like for us, some of the pressure is relieved, but we still need rain. Our corn, it's not. I mean, we just bought some time. If we don't keep getting rain, we're going to be in trouble. And there's guys further east that, just like Tony Reed was saying, they're not going to have a crop. Well, so now the game will be, who gets the rain? Was it in time? Was it not in time? And so the markets are just going to speculate on what that final number is going to be, as far as what is that yield going to be. They're going to speculate on, is it going to be an average of 163? Is it going to be an average of 150? I mean, if you move the average yield in the United States just a few bushels, it makes a big difference. And then the other thing they're going to watch is the export news. They're going to watch our usage, what they think our ending stocks are. I mean, it's the Chicago board and casino. I mean, they're just running on. They're going to run it one way, and then they're going to run it another. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I think that by the time we get to fall, we're not going to have as big a crop as what people think, because that's just usually how it goes. Is the speculation? They're pretty cautious on dropping that yield, and I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's what I say every year, though.
Yep. That's what you got to do. You don't know what you don't know. And
yeah.
Mother Nature can be a biatch. So.
Yeah. And I don't know what it's like out west as far as the wheat crop goes. And I'm real curious about how the wheat market's going to hold up, because I'm surprised it's not higher than what it is, because Ukraine and Russia are two of the biggest wheat exporters in the world, and neither one of them are going to be able to export Sikkim.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that really is going to pull the price on wheat. And then if it does that, there are people in the fringe areas of the United States that typically grow wheat that typically grow corn that will say,
wheat looks pretty appealing. Yeah.
And so I don't know how it all plays out, and I think it'll take another year. It may take 2 years to figure out where the world's going to be as far as grain production goes with what's going on over in Europe. But anyway, to Larry's answer, we've bought ourselves a little time. Our crop looks way better than it did a week ago.
Yep.
Okay. Our next question is, Justin asked, this is perfect. Do we think lab-grown meat will take off, and will consumers buy it now that it's been approved by the FDA, and is it a threat to farmers?
Oh man, that's a deep question. I mean, I think that Beyond Meat's already tried bringing this out, and you've seen that the backlash has been pretty significant. The adoption rate of it hasn't been great, just because I think people realize the ingredients inside of that stuff is wonky. And I think now more than ever, you're just seeing in culture, people are not trusting big food companies with all these preservatives, Red 40, all the shit. Like, people are very mindful and conscious of what they're putting in their mouth, I think, more than ever. And so them coming out with that, and they've seen all these additives to the burger or to the meat or whatever, it's just it doesn't appeal to people. And I think I've said this time and time again, on this show, but I think people are kind of realizing that meat isn't the problem. A lot of people doing carnivore, a lot of people doing keto, a lot of people doing animal-based diet, and they're limiting their carbs, they're limiting the processed foods, the really hard grainy stuff, and seed oils, sugar. I mean, there's a lot of alcohol. There's a lot of people that they're finding that meat is not the problem. I think overconsumption of meat, it's just like everything. I think if you overeat something but at the same time, you got Jordan Peterson and his daughter that all they eat is meat and salt, and they got rid of all their autoimmune problems. Yep. And so I just think it's a personal choice of what your diet is, but I believe that people are realizing that they're telling us that meat is the problem, but I think people are waking up to the fact that meat really isn't the problem. It's really foundational to a healthy diet for most people. And I think that consumers are just more aware of what they're putting in their mouth. And until Impossible Meat or whatever the hell, Beyond Meat can show people, I don't know, until they can really get away from putting all that additive shit in there, I don't think people are going to adopt it. And I also believe, let's say it does. Let's play that scenario out. So let's say it gets adopted a little bit. It's going to be the cheapest form of meat. That's going to be easiest thing.
Is it?
I think it will. I think they'll try to make it appealing to people because it will. I think they'll grow it in a lab and they'll sell it for cheap. It'll be the cheapest. But that's also an advantage for us because what I believe is there's still going to be a market for meat eaters. This idea that once plant-based or lab-grown meat comes out, that people are just going to adopt it and nobody's going to eat real meat anymore. I think there's going to be a whole market of people that will never eat that shit, and they'll always buy real meat, and they're always going to want to consume real meat. And it's just going to make our product that much more valuable. And I feel like the tagline, the label, real meat will be a thing if this gets adopted. It's just a matter if it gets adopted. I can't tell you the future. I know that people are working on it. I know that they're trying to mimic the taste, the texture, everything. They're trying to do that in the lab. And if they're successful at it and they can bring the price down to make it the most cost-effective product out there, I think you'll have some consumers. But I also think it's not going to absolutely destroy all of the meat industry that people raise animals and, obviously get meat from animals. I don't think it's going to destroy that market completely. I think there's always going to be a market for it. And that's just my 2 cents. And it's the thing that makes it scary, and this is also something that's working against these lab-grown meat companies. The people pushing that shit aren't really trustworthy. You got Bill Gates that's pushing this shit, and Bill Gates, if you go look at him, he is not the epitome of what health looks like. He's a roly-poly fat fuck, and I believe that Bill Gates, anytime he sees a money opportunity, he is going to go after it, and he sees that this is a new way to make a lot of money because it's a new innovating industry. So he's going to go all in on it and try to convince people that that's better for you and it's better for the climate, when in reality, I don't trust that guy. I know most people in the world, or most people in America, from my observation, don't trust that guy very much. Yep. And so having those kind of people, the ones that are pushing it, and if celebrities come out and push it, like, I don't care what you say. When I see Hollywood celebrities pushing shit, it was the same thing with the COVID vaccine, making all the celebrities come out and tell you got to get the shot. It's like they're all bought. Most of them are bought. Most of them are getting on the commercials and telling you what you need to do. And if they want to run that agenda and that play, nobody buys it. I think most people are kind of just over celebrities trying to get into politics and tell us what we need to do or what we should consume. It's just getting, I don't know. I've lost trust in that too. So, and there was one other thing that I was going to say about it. Last thing. I believe that as farmers in the meat industry, I believe, if the argument that lab-grown meat, we're gonna reduce our carbon footprint. I mean, there's so much technology coming into livestock production that it's going to reduce our carbon footprint. I believe in the future we're going to have a carbon negative footprint here on our farm. Yep. What? Yep. Eventually, I think that'll happen. I think dairies, they're the same way. They're trying to eliminate their carbon footprint and even try to produce carbon negative products. And when that all happens, this idea that livestock production is just destroying the environment, when a lot of the products that are raised, a lot of the livestock that is raised here in America will be carbon negative, that argument of us destroying the planet is just going to go away. And then you're down to, well, does somebody want a fake pork chop or do they want a real pork chop? That's the thing. So, and I don't know. I'm optimistic that there's always going to be a meat market. There's always going to be people that want to buy meat, real meat. And I think with new technology coming out, farmers are going to reduce their carbon footprint. And until they can figure out how to get the trust of consumers to buy that product, I don't think they're going to be very successful. So, but I can't rule it out. I can never say never. And it's, at the end of the day, yeah, it is a threat. I mean, we can't not look at it and just say that'll never happen. That's how disruption happens, and you get thrown on your ass and get disrupted. So we got to definitely keep our eye on it as farmers and as an industry, but it's got some work to do, I think.
Well, first of all, you've really intrigued me. I think at some point we need to do a podcast about carbon negative livestock.
Yeah, I think that's going to be coming down the pipeline sometime here in the future.
Yep. Secondly, I think we give them too much credit calling it lab-grown meat, because the first generation was lab-grown, and if they're going to produce it, it's going to be vat-grown meat in a factory setting. I mean, if you've got to do it at scale, there's no lab. It's a warehouse. It's a production line. And I don't know. I don't know about you, but the optics of it, I don't feel like that looks too good, and I think they're going to add it to what Sawyer said, to his point. I agree. I just don't feel like there's that much trust in, one, drug companies, startup. I don't know if you want to call that a technology company, a drug company. You're dealing with an industry that does not have a very good reputation or is not thought of very highly. So I think they'll have an uphill battle. But like Sawyer said, I think, if the price point's right, somebody will buy it. But whether or not it'll ever get to scale that it can pay its way to make a profit, that will remain to be seen. And you know what? At the end of the day, I'd rather just buy meat from people I know, and
yeah, I'll never eat that shit.
No,
I'll tell
I
you that
won't
right now. I'll never eat it. I'd have no desire to eat it. I don't trust it. And yeah, I think people want trust in the products they buy, and so right now, Big Food isn't doing a good job at that, and that's just another thing that just seems sketchy. It looks sketchy. It tastes sketchy, probably. I've never ate it, but people have said it's kind of doesn't taste the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's an uphill battle for them.
Sketchy.
Yep, not into sketchy, and I'm not into Bill Gates. So
nope, that's true too.
That's that. Grant asks our thoughts on the future of precision ag.
That's a broad one.
So what is precision ag for anybody that's kind of sitting there going, well, even I was like, Dad, what's precision ag? Like, what does that all entail?
To a certain point, we're already in the age of precision ag. I mean, just like us. So David, when he comes and plants, we've got ride control, we've got electric row shutoffs, and everything is GPS to the point that, we don't have, our point rows are perfect, because the planter automatically shuts off. And my maps, as far as my yield maps and my soil maps and all that stuff, I send that back and forth between me and my chemical rep, my fertilizer company. And if we wanted a variable rate, our fertilizer, we could. Ours doesn't vary that much to the point that we do it. You're seeing precision ag as far as the day is going to come that you're going to have planters that, to start with, you can have two different hybrids. I mean, you can kind of do that today, but you may get to the point where you could have a planter and you got three different hybrids in it, and your soil maps are loaded in, and as you travel along, it's going to pick which hybrid goes to which soil. Your fertilizer is already that way. A lot of people, variable rate. But I think to his point, he's thinking more about autonomous tractors, autonomous equipment, basically getting the human element out of it. Mm-hmm. And I saw a little bit of a podcast where guys were talking about that, and their viewpoint was that you're going to see more farmers exit agriculture in the next 20 years than you did in the 70s and early 80s, because their vision was that these big guys are going to have the technology that they can farm so much more ground that the margins are going to get thinner and thinner and thinner, and more people are going to get squeezed out. But to your point, we were talking about it before, and I mean, you had a very valid point.
Well, yeah, I think it's this fine line of, it's just like most topics that we talk about on here, AI, there's so many great benefits of AI, but there's also some downsides to AI. Same with precision ag. There's a lot of benefits that come with precision ag, and one of them is there's a labor crisis across the United States, but there's a huge labor crisis here in agriculture. Livestock, there's a huge labor crisis. Getting help to have a farmhand, a quality farmhand, it's a hard task, and so there's just not a lot of people out there that have the know-how or have the drive to want to get into it, and so that's where precision ag helps us. But if we go so far with it, like you said, you could squeeze a lot of people out. And if we want to keep family farms intact, keep family farms going, have more family farms in America, and not have so many corporate farms, it's gonna be that fine balance. But I think you gotta move with the times, and you can't be the last one on the train. I think that you got to adopt the technology. You can be one of the middle players in it. If you don't want to adopt something super fast and you want to kind of wait to see how things go and how they trickle down, just don't be the last one to get on the train is kind of what I'm saying. But we've talked about autonomous tractors on here before, and holy shit, a clip on TikTok just exploded and people just called us a bunch of dumbasses. You play Farm Simulator. I mean, we're real farmers. I think farmers just hate the idea of autonomous tractors, and it pisses them off. And I know there's a lot of stuff that will go into that, like who's going to fill the planter up if it's an autonomous tractor. Obviously you got to fill the planter up, but all those little problems I think are going to get solved. Everybody wants to pick out when you say that term. Well, who's going to do that? Who's going to fuel the tractor up? Who's going to do this? That shit's going to get figured out. It just is. And it's still, for most people, you'll still be more efficient having it run by itself, and you going and having to fill the planter up, getting a notification on your phone, and it needs fuel, getting a notification on your phone, you're still going to be more efficient than actually being in there. And I know there's guys that just love being in there and love that, and that's fine. But you just got to have your head on a swivel and don't be the last one on the train and get squeezed out.
Yeah. So my dad used to say, you don't want to be the last guy in the township still farming with horses.
Yeah.
When everybody else has bought a tractor, because in our neighborhood, my dad would always tell the story of a guy that lived not very far from us, that he was the guy that thought these tractors were just a fad and that they would never work, never last. And he kept on to his horses to the bitter end, and then he had a farm sale. And shout out, today is June 28th, so today would have been my dad's 104th birthday. So he was born in 1919, made it to the ripe old age of 99. So kudos.
That's awesome. Happy birthday, Gramps.
Yeah,
it would have been nice.
Here,
he would have said, "Well, thank you."
Yeah, he would have said, "Well, thank you."
That would have been pretty awesome to have him on here.
Yeah,
we're hoping someday, we talk about future plans of Barn Talk, because we're gonna ride this baby out till the wheels fall off. But if we make it and we're a decade-long podcast or 2 decade-long podcasts, having a third generation on here would be pretty cool. Having my kid on here, you'd be a pretty old geezer, but
I would be, and I'm gonna get older every day. That there's not some sort of,
think about all the wisdom that you'd have. You already have so much. Just think about how big your head will be then. You'll just be spitballing. And
one of us here, and I'm not going to say which one, has got a lot of work to do if that's going to happen.
Well, got to sell more pork boxes.
Okay, all right.
And then we can get you on that swivel koozie. But
and while we're talking about precision, so it goes a lot further than just, we want to talk about autonomous tractors and all that. But the other side of it is, even in the livestock side, which I would say the labor shortage is even a greater problem on the livestock side. We talked to a guy at World Pork that does audits, welfare audits. He's an independent, works for a company, and a lot of sow farms, well, even us, we get audited by an independent third-party audit just to make sure that everything we say that we're doing, we really are doing, and they get them so they're not affiliated with the company you work for, and blah, blah, blah. Same thing, I'm sure, in a lot of people's industries, they do third-party audits. Anyway, he said that, how many had he done? I want to say it was over 100. And he said out of all the ones that he'd done, he had not been to a sow unit that was not short-staffed, except for the very most recent one he had was fully staffed. So labor's a huge thing. And, you know, we did a video about having a robotic power washer, which doesn't really fit our operation, but we don't have any trouble getting help, getting a crew to wash our barns. But there's a big push for automation within the hog business, and a lot of, you know, it's like when we had the dairy farmer on. Mm-hmm. He's got a completely automated feed system in his. Mm-hmm. It mixes the feed and it delivers it to the cows. Mm-hmm. Saves him a pile of time. Mm-hmm. So Barn Tools, yep. You know, Barn Tools was a sponsor of our podcast. Great guys. One of the products that they're working on is a feed sensor that has a solar battery. It's rechargeable from the sun, and it gives you your bin levels. And we were talking to our field man the other day, and they've got a site that they're using them on, and their goal is to take that and marry that technology with good software to where literally we won't even have to order the feed anymore. The bin, when the software knows the bin is empty, it will just automatically order the feed for that bin, and then each bin's going to have a barcode on it, so when the feed truck driver shows up, he'll scan the bin, and if it's the wrong bin, it'll say, no bueno. Mm-hmm. Well, it won't literally say no bueno. It just won't. Red light or whatever the hell, and if it's the right bin, green light, go. Well, that's just another example where you may think, okay, that doesn't save you that much labor. Well, it does if you are getting to the situation that you are trying to take all of the upper level management out of a barn to where you can chore that barn with a chore crew, and those guys don't have to worry about ordering feed. Mm-hmm. And if you have your controls automated to where you get a report every day that says, this is how many gallons of water they drank, this is how much feed they drank, this is the temperature, all the fans are okay, the amp draws are perfect, the humidity's right. Those guys, all they have to do is come in and chore. They don't have to come in and troubleshoot. So then your
efficiency on the pigs is better too, because the feed outages will be less. I mean, obviously, you know, feed lines plug up and that happens, but biosecurity, you know, think about sow units. They don't have to go out and beat on that bin as much, probably. They don't have to go out there and check on a bin and see if it's empty. Feed outages are less. So it's a more efficient way. Just one little thing like that can make things just so much more efficient. And feed's one of the most important things when it comes to growing livestock, but growing pigs. And there's also some other stuff that we've talked about, like, you know, one day maybe there'll be a drone that's in the buildings that does just kind of a pen fly around to just, and I don't know, it detects if a pig's down or if a pig is dead, if they're out of feed, is a water line, did they break the pipe and there's a water leak going everywhere. Like, you'll be able to check your drone footage and kind of go through there and just make yourself more efficient, so you're just going through those barns faster, and it just makes it faster, more efficient. I mean, that's the goal of technology. But
I'll just sit on my little hovering lazy boy like Wally, sipping on my 128 ounce Slurpee.
Just like Wally.
Yeah,
just
Wally.
like Wally.
Just be like Wally.
Yep. Be on the spaceship.
Yep.
Elon's spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Headed to Mars.
Eating plant-based meat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
might
you might
have to
not
rethink that.
Yeah, You don't want to go there. Yeah, I think it's exciting. I mean, I feel like agriculture, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming, but it's just back to finding that balance. We want to adopt it because we need to become more efficient, but at the same time, we don't want to squeeze a bunch of people out. So, just something to keep in mind.
There's always something.
Always something, man.
Copeland asked. So this is kind of a.
I feel like we get one of these.
Yeah, I think we do. We get these every once in a while, and I feel bad for anybody that wants us to give them advice, but we're going to try. I'm a 24-year-old, and I'm the 7th generation in the family to farm. I've stepped up this year and grabbed 24 acres of my own that's in soybeans now. My father farms 600 to 700 acres, but he's let me use his equipment to harvest. What kind of advice would you give me for starting my own branch instead of being underneath my dad's wing?
He's 22, not 24. Is that drink running through you like water? Yeah. No, you're
22.
good. 22.
I didn't know I said 24.
Yep. Nope, you're good. It's all right.
Sometimes my tongue gets too big for my mouth.
It's that Makers. It's running through you.
Could be.
Yep.
Could be. It's late. It's late enough.
Yeah. It's another evening podcast. We like doing these. I would say to that, that's a hard one. How do you get out from underneath? Get out under from your dad's wing.
Well, you're piss poor to ask that.
Yeah, I would just say, and I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have a dad that's very with it as far as technology and as far as innovating the farm and being open to new ideas and not staying in his box. He brings the wisdom of the past, but he's also open to working together to grow the farm. Like, that's something that I think's like everybody always wants to say, well, my dad's got this and I got this. And we've kind of had the agreement or just kind of if we're a team, if we can think of this farm like a team, we can accomplish a lot more. Instead of us being two opposites, why don't we come together and try to grow this thing together? And I mean, that's how some of the greatest, most wealthy, and I know this is an extreme example, but think about the Rockefellers. And I know they're a controversial family, but can't deny they made a fuckload of money and they become one of the wealthiest families in American history. But all those kids from John D. Rockefeller, they all did their own thing and contributed to the family name, and they were all kind of a team doing their thing. And I think that I don't know. I think this idea, and I know it's hard because not every dad is going to want to team up, and not every family dynamic is great, right? But if you can make it work where it's not about, I mean, you got to put it in your name and you got to have your own entity. Like Dad said, he's probably not going to buy more ground in the future. He's going to, he wants the next generation to own it because it makes sense, because when he passes away, it's just another loop that we got to jump through to transfer it all over to the next generation anyway. But it's not like I'm going to make all the money off that farm. I want Dad, if Dad's going to contribute and be a part of that process, I want Dad to benefit from it too. And it's the same with anything we do. If the more that we're a team working together trying to do this thing, I think the better it's going to serve our family and the better it's going to serve our farm for the future. And that can't be done everywhere. But I would just say, don't look at it necessarily as a bad thing to working with your dad. I think if you guys can team up, combine the new generation and the old generation and come together and work together, you can do a lot of great things. I think getting some acres under your own name is great, but if you look at it as a team game, you're going to accomplish more and you're going to come up with better ideas. You're going to have people to run ideas through. It's just better. And I know that's easier said than done, because there's a lot of families that can't come to a decision very easily, and they bicker and they can't make things work, and that's hard. But it's just to answer. I don't know. This is a hard question for me because I've never looked at what I'm doing, trying to get out from under Dad's wing. I've always looked at it, let's grow this thing together. Let's team up. I don't care what fucking name we put it under. Let's just do the work and get this shit done in any possible way we can. And let's all benefit from it. Even my brother Clay, who doesn't even contribute labor to the farm, I want my brother Clay to be involved in the farm. I want him to contribute his expertise and his knowledge to help us grow this farming operation. And I want him to benefit from the farming operation as well.
Yeah.
And so it's just, the more you can work as a team, it's just like any business. The more you can work as a team and the better team you have, the better result you're going to get.
Yeah.
And so that's just my idea. That's what I can say on it. I don't really have a lot of advice for you besides bust your ass. I mean, it's the same thing with any first generation farmer or anybody trying to do their own thing or buy more acres. You got to bust your ass. You got to farm more acres. But I think if you can combine as a team, you can get to your goal a lot sooner.
So I would say not knowing, any more than that little bit of email, you need a side hustle because 24 acres isn't going to get you a whole lot. But you need to think in ways that you can, one, use the equipment or use something that the farm has to bring another stream of income in, or think of something that you can do that you are adding something to the farm that pays its own way and the farm can use it too. So, and I feel like the edge on this is kind of run its course because I think a lot of people went down this road, but like there were a lot of guys that would if a farm had a big skid loader, they would buy a mulching head and grapple bucket and all that, and they do land clearing. So basically, you're bringing in extra money for your time, and you're paying for that skid loader for the farm. Or if the farm didn't have that loader, or you had a smaller one, you're trading that, get a bigger machine. That machine is available for the farm to use, and you're bringing in income from doing it. Or a lot of guys, a lot of these farms, you got a semi, and you haul your own grain, and you get the younger generation, they start hauling, they run that semi, they find extra business, they're hauling ingredients, they're hauling for the neighbors, they're doing whatever, and it's a way to bring extra income.
Manure.
Yep, a lot of guys around here, they buy a tank, haul their own manure, and then they pair up with other people that are doing it, and then they haul for a bunch of other people. Stuff like that. But I'll tell you, the most important thing, I think, within any family farming operation is brutal honesty. And also perspective. And nobody likes to talk about this, but if your dad's farming 600-700 acres, you're 22 years old. I don't know how old your dad is, but I get the feeling he's probably somewhere around my age. Time waits for no man, and everything that I have is temporary. Doesn't really matter because I'll wake up in what feels like not very much time, and I'm going to be 62 instead of 52. And that wheel keeps turning. So as a father of a farming family, you always have to be thinking in the back of your mind, how does this benefit the next generation? Because if you're just in it for you, if I'm just in it for what I want, my shit's about paid for. So I could just say piss on it and not do any of this stuff with either one of my boys, and just make my money and have a pretty easy life. I think that'd be pretty boring, and I'm not wired that way. But both sides, you got to be thinking. So if you're the parent, you got to decide, what do you want? Like, and there isn't anything. It's you build it. It's your shit. So if you want to run that and run it till you're done, and then have a farm auction, sell it off, and let the next generation worry about how they're going to make their money, then do it. But don't keep them around and tell them, don't dangle the carrot in front of them and say, oh, yeah, boy, yeah, someday this is going to be yours, but you're not going to make any decisions, and then, oh, yeah, well, sorry, but we're going to sell this out.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, if you were wired that way, I would have never came back. I would have never came back to the farm, because if it was going to be, I got my shit, you got your shit, you're going to figure it out, I wouldn't have gotten into the operation,
there's a
because
hell of a lot of easier ways to make money.
I mean, there's a lot of other easier ways to make money in today's society, and if we're not going to work together as a team and buy in together, I mean, it's just hard. It's really, really, really challenging. And so, like I said, very fortunate to have a dad that is like that. And I agree with you there that you got to put your ego aside, and you got to think about what's going to be left. And the younger kid, you got to bring value to the operation. You got to show, it's got to be a 1-2 punch. They have to give you buy-in. They got to bring you into the operation and, say, hey, we're going to do this, and you're going to be a part of this for the long haul, and I want you to be a part of this for the long haul. And then the younger generation needs to bring value to the operation and buy in. If you want them to involve you, you need to be bought in. So I don't know, dude. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be under your dad's wing and, become a team. Like, really try to become a team and build from there. This idea that, fuck you if you inherited ground or, you built a thing as a family. I mean, the haters are always going to hate. So I don't care. I think it's just better to team up.
If there's no legacy there, you say you're the seventh generation. So either there's legacy, and if there's legacy, then the older generation needs to risk some of that capital, and you need to work your ass off to put the labor in to make that risk worthwhile. But if it isn't legacy, then why are you there?
Yeah.
Then you need to just go do something else and be done with it. So
yeah, that's like Dad and I's goal, if you've listened or watched any of our shit, is we always talk about we want to sustain this farm for another generation. And legacy, our why of our family farm is legacy. Like, we really, above all else, legacy is like number one for us. And so that's I think when you're going after something more than money in any business, that's how you see results. That's how you see success. That's how you work really great as a team, because you got a why, and you're going for it. And it's not just money, I mean, money's great. Don't get me wrong. It helps. It definitely helps, but it's not all about the money for us.
No. And there's some faith involved in this, because there was no guarantee with my kids growing up. There was no guarantee that either one of them were going to want to have anything to do with farming. So the sixth generation, there was no guarantee. I was just lucky in the fact that everything that I did set it up to where it would be possible. If the sixth generation wanted to get in, they could. But it sure wasn't a sure thing that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And everything we're doing is geared towards making it possible that the seventh generation is going to be able to farm here. But there's no guarantee that they will. But you know what? Here's the thing.
We're going to make sure that it's an opportunity that they can.
And if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, by the time that happens, I'll be long gone. and you ain't going to care. There's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to surrender yourself to the fact that you can plan all you want, and God will laugh at you because there's no guarantees. But you got to work towards something, because if you don't have purpose, well, you ain't got anything. I mean, yeah, you need to have a faith, but if you don't have a faith and you don't have purpose, then you ain't got much. Yeah. And our purpose is trying to keep this deal going and giving them the opportunity for a seventh generation. May not happen, but it sure won't happen if we don't align to do it. And so, you know.
And I'd also say, last thing on this question, I will look back on these times, and I'm making the best memories with my dad. You know what I mean? Like, working with your dad, that's a special thing. And so, you know,
can't fight with family.
Yeah,
who can you fight?
Exactly. You gotta, you know, that is going through the thick of it with family. If you can make it work, is something special. And so keep that in mind too. If you're thinking about going completely out on your own, like,
yeah, because
going through the shit with your dad it's tough, but it's a bond that you form beyond just father son. It's like your business partners, your best friends, you know, your father son. Like, it's deep. It runs deep. So it's a unique relationship if you can make it work, for sure.
And if you treated other people the way you treat me, you'd probably be arrested.
Well, same goes to you. Same goes right back to you. I'm just paying back for all the times you beat my ass when I was a kid.
Oh,
okay. There you go.
Sorry.
Yep.
Just turned into an after-school special.
I'm just kidding. I didn't get my ass beat. Only when
He only got beat when he was little, because he didn't stay small enough for me to beat him very long.
It's good.
Oh, all right. This kind of falls, I think this kind of falls into that younger generation. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this kid's name and I didn't misspell.
Is it Taylor?
Taylor. That might be right.
Taylor. I don't know if we're pronouncing it right, but we're going to say Taylor.
What skills would you recommend learning just starting out?
Just starting out, like, that was it. That was just the question.
That was the email.
Not starting out in farming, just like generic,
I think
basic.
Just
life.
Coming out of high school.
Start there.
Because you've talked about this.
Yeah.
What do you wish that you would have known or done now? And you're 23.
Yeah.
But
5 years ago. I would say the quicker that you can find your purpose, get disciplined on doing daily actions to get you closer to your goal and your purpose, and planning your work and working your plan every single day, day in and day out, that will get you very far. If you can get disciplined, work really hard, have a vision and somewhere you want to go, and believe in yourself that it's possible, and listen to people that encourage you that it's possible, surrounding yourself with the right people, that's foundational. And that's really, really important. I think what's really hard, and one of the best things that I ever did, was not valuing other people's opinions of me, that have no, like, their opinion shouldn't matter to me. You know, a lot of time, especially when you're a young kid and you grow up in high school, you care about what people think and how you're perceived, and it just comes with the politics of being in high school. I mean, it's just like, that's what it is. And the sooner you can let that go, the better off you're going to be, because people are always going to hate. People are always going to judge you. People are always going to have shit to say about you. And you have just got to say, fuck it. I'm going to just be me. I'm going to do my own thing. This is where I want to go. This is how I want to do it. I'm going to surround myself with positive people that are going to believe in me, that are going to fill my cup up, not take away from my cup, and I'm going to execute. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. And it's way easier said than done. Trust me. It took me a very long time to get seriously disciplined, and in some areas of my life, but also planning my work. Like I just this year, like really have been very consistent at making a plan each day of what I need to get done and doing it. And I wish I would have definitely done that earlier on, because that really helps you stay organized, stay on task. And it's also just fulfilling, or just it just feels good to check shit off your list and feel accomplished each day, like you really contributed, and you see the steps that you're taking every single day to get to where you want to go. And so that's really nice. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I'd say also just try to become the best version of yourself, because what I've found is when I'm consistently going to the gym, when I'm consistently staying up on what I call my diet, I guess the stuff that if I feel like because I'm trying to build muscle, so I'm eating in a caloric surplus, right? So I'm trying to eat more food so I can gain weight to grow more muscle. And so when feel like I'm doing really good on my diet, I feel like I'm going to the gym, I'm learning something new every day, and I'm working towards my goals and my passion and my dream, that's becoming the best version of yourself. And you do that consistent enough, that's a really great feeling. It's a really great feeling. And if you can somehow get that early on, it's kind of like it's addicting to want to have that feeling. And I also say enjoy yourself a little bit. I'm not saying grind. Enjoy yourself a little bit. Have some friends. Relax a little bit sometimes. Have some outlets that help you get away from what you're trying to do. But 75 to 85% of the time, you need to be going towards what you want, because that's the hardest transition, I think, to make is young kid going straight into the adult world. That is something that is slept on, and you have to grow up really quick. And so if you're 75 to 85% of the time working, doing all that stuff that I just said, and then still having some fun too and enjoying yourself, I think that's a good balance. So
I think we're gonna have to like send $1 to NPKK.
MPKK, what is that?
The farmers west of town, because you just use their plan your work your plan.
Oh, nice. Yep.
That's Reed Incorporated.
You said that.
I stole it from them, because when you walked these guys that we know that farm west of town in their old shop, when you'd walk in there, it was, I wouldn't say it was well organized. Granted, there's all these brothers that farm together, and so, everybody kind of has their own pile. But the one area of the wall that was open, there was a sign there, and it just always said, "Plan your work your plan," and that just always stuck with me. So we'll throw next time we're driving out Old 92, we'll just throw $2 worth of cans in the ditch out there. Pay for that. Pay for using that. But it's 100% true. Discipline. Man, discipline, that's like, you can get so much done if you can be disciplined. And with that, get up early. So get up early. If you can get up early, and what you do when you get up early is up to you. If that's your time that you do your best thinking, and that's when you do your planning, that's fine. If you get up and that's when you want to do your exercise, or, you want to get up and get the most important things off your plate that you want to get done for the day. I've always said, like, if we don't get it done in the morning, it ain't going to get done. And that's not 100% true. Sometimes we get stuff done in the afternoon, but when you start before the rest of the world gets going, man, you can get a lot done. Mm-hmm. As soon as the texts and the phone and people, whatever you're into, as soon as the world gets moving, that's when the distractions all start. So discipline, get a routine, stay disciplined, and push out the noise. The easiest way to success is don't quit.
That's what I was going to say. you have to be resilient. You have to be resilient. I mean, our last episode, we talked about getting farmer grade off the ground. You know how many bumps in the road it took to get that business off the ground? A shitload. And that's just business, but that's life. I mean, you are going to have left and right hooks all the time, and you just have to be resilient, and you have to get up and get back on the saddle and go, because if you get knocked out and you don't get back up, that's where you start to feel miserable. That's where you start dabbling in and getting addicted to shit, and you got to get back up and go for your purpose and keep going, because you got one life. You got one freaking life, and you got to try to make the most of it if that's what you want to do. And what else did you say there? I was thinking about something else.
Schedule, routine, discipline, get up early, don't give up.
Yeah. There was something I was going to say, but I forgot. Forgot it. Drink some coffee. That's what I would recommend. I wish I would have drank coffee when I was 18, because damn, that helps for sure. Drinking some coffee when you need some caffeination, that helps for sure.
Yep.
Get you through the hard times when you need to get some shit done. But I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, that's all shit that it's easier said than done. It really is, but I think that you feel you at your best when you're striving for your best, and if you really truly want success, that's what it requires. It requires those kind of things. And we're not perfect. I still struggle. Like, I've only been to the gym once this week because it's just been a crazy week, and so balance is not something that's great for us, and I'd love to stay disciplined and be at the gym 3 to 5 times a week, but sometimes you fall off, and you just got to get back on and find your groove again. So that's just part of life. But I think that's gonna wrap it up. Yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up.
There is all kinds of shit going on in the world that we could do a hot topics about, and we probably need to do a hot topics about the coup in Russia that wasn't a coup, and talk a little bit about the politics going on in the United States, but that'll have to wait for another day. I think our next episode probably will be a guest, but if we get any hiccups in that, we'll probably have a hot topics, but otherwise you'll have to wait for hot topics. But anyway, we appreciate every single one of you, and keep your questions coming. If you have questions, send them to barntalkshow@gmail.com.
Leave a review on Spotify or Apple. Share it out with your friends, family, coworkers, employees if you got any value from the show. And if you want to support us again, guys, if you made it this far, go buy a pork box from farmergrade.com. That would really help us out tremendously, and we'd appreciate it a lot. We love you guys, and we'll see you next week for another episode.